We're going to be changing out a starter today on this 2017 Ford F-250 with a 6.2 liter. So the first thing you're going to have to do, pop the hood. We're going to disconnect the battery so there's no chance of any arcing, nothing like that. 10 millimeter nuts on the positive end, or sorry, that's the negative, this is the positive. So you can take just the negative off if you want. We took both off just to be extra safe. And then we're going to go underneath of the truck. I'm going to show you where the starter is. All right, there's a part number. That's for the OEM Ford starter. We're putting a full moco in it. And we got to get these connections off, which we've already done here, but very simple. There's a cap that sits on the end of this positive so that it doesn't arc out on anything. And so you pop that off, and then we just have some nuts to take off. So there, you can see we've got a total of 3 wires. Now these ones get stacked on each other, and this one's independent. And we've got 2 nuts that are 12 millimeter, and one of them that's a 10. And 13. So 13, 2 that are 13, one that's 10. Once you take those off and get your cables off, then we have 3 bolts that we need to deal with to get this thing out. And 2 of them aren't too bad to get to, but the one that's at pretty much, it's at the top, you're gonna be pretty much blind from seeing where it is. But you can just look from the starter the way that it's mounted in there. It sits in there like this. So this one's not bad to get to, this one's not bad. This one's the tricky one. Sorry, that's supposed to go there. But I'll let you kind of like take a look up in there. But you gotta use an extension and a ratchet and the 13 millimeter socket, and you're gonna have to slip it in there. I'll see if I can kind of show you. Okay, so hopefully you can see this is the setup that you're gonna need. And you can slip it in over top of the starter. And once you get it up in there, you can get it set onto the bolt. Now, the crucial part is how long this assembly is, because it needs to come far enough so that it's back so that you can get your ratchet in and still swing, but it can't be too long because there's a motor mount in the way, so it can't be too long. So the magic length that you need is I would say just over 5 inches. You might be able to do it with exactly 5, but just over 5. And so now we're gonna get this thing set up in here, and we'll get this last bolt out so we can take this thing out. I did have it in there a second ago. There we go. Hopefully the bolt isn't very rusty, so you can just break it free. And then I usually take the ratchet off and just use the extension to just back it out. Okay, so we've got that out now. We pull the starter out. Oops, there goes the bolt. So, yeah, you can see where the bolts are supposed to go. We've got, let's see, this goes this way. So the one with the stud is on the very bottom, and then the other 2 are exactly the same, so it doesn't matter, but that would go inside, then the other one's on top. So we're gonna just clean the area up in there, make sure that we don't have any debris or dirt or anything like that on the mating surface, and then we'll go ahead and install our new starter. All right, so we're ready to throw this thing in now. Sorry if I confused you earlier with the wires. I meant like the stack is like just where they're positioned, but they all go to a different stud. So the one with the cap goes to the big stud that's on the starter. That's your main power wire. Then the small stud is this small wire. That's the signal wire that tells the starter to start. And then this other big one that does not have the rubber cap on it, it goes to this actual stud that is also a mounting bolt for the starter. It's the bottom one. So we're gonna go ahead and just throw this thing up in here, and we'll get some bolts started, and then we can go ahead and tighten these down. All of the 3 bolts get torqued to 18 foot-pounds. So we'll just start these by hand. Tricky. I used both of my hands, one finger on each hand onto the bolt, and try to get it started. We just need it started, get the thread started, so then we can get our socket, or our socket and extension up there and get it in as far as we can. It's not impossible, you just need patience. This one I'm gonna have to probably take off of the ratchet, get it started on the bolt, and then we can put our ratchet on, or our torque wrench, sorry. Okay. All right, now we're ready to install our wires. So we can do the signal wire, oops, and we'll do power wire on there. Now this power wire is clocked in a certain way. You can see the cutout of the rubber, so it can only go on one direction. And now we can just put the nuts on there. So a little 10 mil goes for our signal wire, and then the other 2 will go for our main power and ground. I would clean these wires up if they're corroded in any way. You want a nice clean connection before we put everything together, right? If you want, you can put a little bit of grease, dielectric grease, over the connections just to try to keep them from corroding. And we can go ahead and tighten those down. All right, so this capped power wire, the nut is going to be torqued to 106 inch-pounds. Okay, and now we can do our signal wire, which is our 10 mil, and that's going to be torqued down to, I can't go that low, 60. What's the spec? 53 inch-pounds for the 10 mil signal wire. Okay, all right, now we can do our ground wire. And that's going to get torqued down to 18 foot-pounds. Perfect. Now we can just stick our cap back on for our power wire. Just like that. And we're ready to lower the truck back down and hook the battery up. Okay, we're gonna install our positive wire first, and we can just snug that down. Now the design of these terminals, you don't want to tighten them down extremely tight. Just snug. And give the terminals a clean if they have any corrosion on them. If they're bad enough, you may want to replace them. And once we get our positive on there, we're going to install our negative now. And just make sure that it's fully seated. I may need something to push that down. As far as it's going on, so we're just going to tighten that down. Okay, make sure it's not loose or anything. That's good. Now we can start the truck now. Perfect. All right, that starts good. So if you have any questions, throw them down in the comment section below. I'd be glad to answer any questions you might have. Give the video a thumbs up if you like the video. If you want to see more content, head over to the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.